No end in sight. President Trump sounding off on the impasse in Washington as the government shutdown is now in its 24th day. Take a listen.
I didn't need this fight. This is a rough fight. We're dealing against people who think that if they can stop me from building the wall, again, we've already done a lot of work, but they think that's a good thing for 2020 because they're not going to win. This is the reason why they don't want the wall built, because they all know it works. They all approved it numerous times. I mean, Chuck Schumer had his hand up every time this would come up. The senators know this. They're only doing this because of the 2020 election.
Joining me now to react is Bob Cusack, the Hill editor-in-chief. What advice would you give to the president right now on ending this or getting out of it, or what he should do from here?
Well, I think politically it's wise to remind people of that 2006 vote, which Senator Schumer, Senator Hillary Clinton, Biden, Obama, they all voted for a Secure Fence Act of 2006, and it was signed into law by George W. Bush. However, I don't think there's any end in sight here. I don't think either side has any incentive right now to compromise. So unless the president ends this through declaring a national emergency, which he indicated today he's not leaning toward doing, I mean, we could go into the State of the Union and perhaps beyond on this, Melissa.
Would it make sense for him? I mean, he keeps hinting at various, things he's willing to put on the table for Democrats. Of course, before he put out the idea of a path to citizenship or something for Dreamers. Yeah. He talked today, one of the biggest applause lines that he got today with the farmers was about doing something about temporary workers, that we need temporary workers. Yep. If he put out an olive branch, very obviously, or something concrete on immigration, would that embarrass the Democrats who are supposed to be pushing for something like this?
I think so. And also, I think it would be wise for the White House to note that Democrats used to back $1.6 billion, then went to 1.3, and now we're basically at zero. I think when you can't get a small deal, you have to get a big deal, along your point. And I think whether that's Dreamers, whether that's minimum wage, and this is not easy to do, but you've got to come to the table and say, what do you want? What do you want? Let's compromise and let's reopen the government, because this is pretty embarrassing as we are heading toward a month of this partial shutdown.
So it seems like the president has done that to a certain extent. When he's thrown out different ideas of what would the Democrats want when he brought them over, and then they said they still wouldn't put any money towards border security. It feels like they think, and potentially they're right, that right now they're winning by virtue of just hanging on to this stalemate. How does he push them forward or bluff them on that front? Because when you say, why don't you offer them this, they say, well, Republicans won't go along with it. Yeah. Does he just put a deal on the table that maybe part of his party doesn't like either, and say he could be the man in the middle? Why don't you give this? Why don't you give this? We'll have border security. Stop using the word wall. We'll do this on DACA. Is that what you mean by a big deal? Yeah,
I think so. I think he's got to pivot. Certainly the polls show that Democrats have an edge in this. So I think he's got to have a bit of a game changer. I think he's got to use the bully pulpit every day. He's been using Twitter. He's been using his big speech today to talk about this issue. And I think he's got to continue to do that, to flip it, because Democrats right now, we talk to them every day, as well as the Republicans. The Democrats are not nervous now. He's got to make them feel nervous.
Do you think that it would help him or hurt him, and you're looking at base versus trying to get something done, if he eliminated the word wall from his vocabulary?
I think it would help him, because whether it's a fence or a wall, whatever you call it, it's border security. Yeah. But the problem with Democratic leaders is that the left is pushing them. They just won the House. The left doesn't want any deal making with President Trump right now.
No, for sure not. But maybe he could embarrass them into it, with just reasonable things. Bob Cusack, thank you. Good stuff. Appreciate your time.